This your boy James, and you are now in tune for the 79th Street Podcast. And when I mean 79, I just mean my thoughts and perspectives from growing up on the south side of Chicago. So let's get it. On this episode of the 79th Street Podcast, we're going to talk about involvement one-on-one. And today, I ain't going to lie, I've known a lot of people from being involved, but when I think of somebody being just as involved as me, not too many people come up. So today, I got one of the homies, Shakira, in the building.
Hey.
You want to introduce yourself to the people, maybe. I'm really bad at this part of it. One friend was telling people their hobbies. So I don't know if you got any hobbies you want to share with the people.
Okay, so y'all, my name is Shakira Smith. I graduated from Northern Illinois University in 2017 with my bachelor's in Family and Child Studies, and I also graduated from Northern Illinois University with my master's of science in adult and higher education in May of 2019. A few things that I enjoy doing. I love to sleep. I love to hang out with friends. I'm a very social person.
Okay, I'll take that. That over your span, and this can be both undergrad and grad, because I know, you ain't take a break just like me. But what were you involved in on campus?
Well, I was involved. I'm trying to think of everything. Hope I don't leave anything out. So I was a coordinator for the Campus Activities Board, which is our largest programming committee on campus. I was the coordinator for the Special Events Committee. I was a member of the Student African American Sisterhood, known as Obeya Women. It was a sisterhood organization on campus. I served as the president, the financial secretary, the public relations chair of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, the Enchanting Eta Delta chapter. I also served as a University 101 peer educator for University 101, which is a first-year seminar course for incoming freshmen. I was a mentor for the Student Success Plan. I was a part of Honor Society, John Henry Clark. I was a part of many organizations on campus.
Man, tell me about it. You named some stuff I was in, but I definitely shout out to you, because I remember, you probably don't remember me, but when you was in CAB, I was the finance person. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, so I heard about all of the good things you was doing with your committee. So definitely shout out to you, because
thanks.
Y'all definitely had CAB lit that year. I ain't gonna lie.
We did. Shout out to my committee.
Yeah, y'all had CAB lit that year. So definitely shout out to y'all. And I'll just talk, it definitely some overlap. I did S-Plan too much. I think I was a mentee in it. Ended up being the president for 2 years. When I graduated and went to grad school, I was the unofficial grad advisor. And I never like to just, what's the word I want to use? So I definitely did a lot, but I just want to speak to, I feel like some of the things that helped me get to where I am, and which is, being a part of the Residence Hall Association. I think that was big as far as helping me find higher ed. Being in TRIO, student government. I was a political science major, so being in student government, really, fulfilled me in the Black Student Union. Can't forget the Black Student Union, because we definitely did a lot as far as, politicalness. So, where did you work on campus? Because I think those two kind of coincide a little bit.
Oh, where did I work?
Yeah.
I kind of worked a couple of places on campus.
Yeah.
So my first on-campus job, I worked as an RHOP, which is a residential hall operations personnel for Douglas and Lincoln Hall. So if you guys are young, you probably have no idea what Douglas and Lincoln Hall, because
Right.
Douglas is now a street and Lincoln has been closed down since 2013.
I could go for a Lincoln Philly right now. I ain't gonna lie.
Oh my God, Lincoln Late Night. So a lot of you guys might not know what that is. That was really one of my favorite jobs. So when Lincoln and Douglas closed down, I went over to Stevenson. So I worked at Stevenson front desk for 2 years. So as a total, I worked at the front desk for 4 years. It was a very good experience. Another job, I worked in a dining hall for 2 months. As Steve said, I did not like it at all, honestly. I'm going to be honest with you, that wasn't my style. So
Hmm.
after I left the dining hall, I worked for the Upper Bound program.
Okay.
So I worked as a tutor as well as working in the office. So I kind of had two positions. So with the tutoring, it was really cool because we would go to Aurora and Rockford 3 days out the week and we would tutor those students,
Okay.
which was really cool. And then I also served as a Northern Ambassador for a little bit. So that was basically, giving out tours and things like that for the campus. That helped me become very more more familiar with NIU campus. Like for example, I found out that we are one of the only three schools in Illinois with an escalator in our library. So it just helped me learn so much more about the
Or you
campus.
learned that the escalators in the library are the only escalators in the county.
Oh yeah, that too.
So that's funny you say that. So that was one of my many jobs on campus. I was a Northern Ambassador for like 2.5 years. I worked in Center for Black Studies, so everybody know me from the Center for Black Studies. I definitely put on at the Center for Black Studies. I worked in a trio office for a bit, the vice president of finance for the campus activities board, which means I worked for SILD
Right.
for a bit. So that's kind of it. But I really enjoy it. Like I said, the Center for Black Studies. I love being a Northern Ambassador because it put me in like contact with like so many prospective students where like when people was coming to campus they're like, oh, I remember you gave me my tour. The one thing I did dislike, and it wasn't like the program didn't try to recruit them, but like there weren't that many black people like that were ambassadors, and so like you kind of unofficially become the
Yeah.
face. And then it was times where like we had all these requirements in the program. Like I always tell people, that's like it used to make me mad. Where like I signed up for Saturday tours, but I'm supposed to do the desk shift, and if it's not so many people, I can go home. But they still keeping me because they got an all black group from Chicago that's there, and I'm the only black ambassador. So it's like, hey
Hmm.
James, you're up, and it's just like I'm supposed to go home. I had a long night. I need to sleep. So that was just kind of one of my downfalls. But I think it worked out because Ted, who was a
Yeah. Yep. I
supervisor.
remember him.
I ain't gonna lie, Ted rocked with me like the long way. Like, I mean, when I graduated, he said, "Man," he said, "You graduated." He said, "You going to grad school?" He said, "Man, I keep you on the payroll. I can keep you on the payroll till July, the end of July." I'm like, "Word." So I was still working as an ambassador. Even though I had found another job, so I was like working two jobs. Undergrad and grad school, and he the one who put me on for the intro to higher ed class that I ended up taking my senior year of college. So definitely shout out to Ted's because he sent me an email like, "Hey, I think you should take this class," and I'm like, "Word." So
Yeah.
was you really involved in high school?
In high school,
Yeah.
so I was a part of this entrepreneurship program. So with that program, I actually worked with computers. So what happened was we took an entrepreneurship class. Um, I became a part of this nonprofit organization called Genesis Works. Shout out to Genesis Works. So with the program, they work with low income high schools, and they gave us jobs, like on campus jobs. So I was placed at Rush Medical Hospital.
Okay.
So I would go around the hospital, deploy computers, printers. Can't believe I actually know how to do that kind of stuff. Um, I did the entrepreneurship program. It was very tedious. Like I had a double period. Like I got out of class and then I had to go straight to work. Then get off work to 5. So I began to be a part of that program sophomore year. But I always was a part of different committees and things like that. But
Mm,
I can say my campus involvement from high school definitely shifted from when I became a student at NIU.
okay. So I ain't gonna lie. I'm just gonna say this. I'm gonna keep this one real short. So in high school, in our senior year yearbooks for senior superlatives, my peers voted me as most likely to join everything, and I'll leave it there. So I did a lot in high school. I probably did more in college, and I'm just gonna leave it there. When did you first like get involved on campus? What was the first thing, and what kind of drew you to whatever that was?
I'm not gonna lie, my freshman year of college, I was one of those students where I went to class, took naps, went to the dining hall, went to parties. That's it. Um, I just really wanted to seek out what was good for me apart as organizations. I didn't want to join no organization that wasn't fit for me. The first organization I became a member of was the Campus Activities Board. So I started off as a regular committee member, right? So it was just like I was a regular committee member at special events. The coordinator at the time, she kind of stepped down.
Who was the coordinator?
Who was the coordinator? I think Alexis. Her name was Alexis.
Oh, okay, so, okay. I remember Alexis. Okay.
Yeah, she stepped down or whatever, so we didn't have a coordinator. So I wasn't the coordinator, but I kind of took that lead a little bit. So I remember Martha. I love Martha Ross. Shout out to Martha Ross.
Shout out to Martha. Shout out to
Martha. Yes, she was the vice president of CAB. Amazing. She inspired me so much. You probably don't even know it. Like, she was always there for me. Anywho, Martha was like, I really think you should, we have elections coming up. You should run to be a coordinator for special events. And I'm like, okay.
That sounds like Martha.
And so then I interviewed. I still had to interview and do everything like that. They called me and said I was selected. So originally I joined CAB because from the events that they put on a little bit of everything. They put on a diversity and a variety of events for the entire student body. I feel like the events that they threw was not just for one subculture on campus. And then the fact that they was in charge of Welcome Week really attracted the Glow in the Dark Party, the Block Party. I'm like, this would be really cool to be a part of something like that. That's one of the big things, like we have it in IU. Students, we got the freshmen, we got the returning students, they're coming back to campus, CAB, we have to put on the Glow in the Dark Party. So that kind of like pushed me to be a part of CAB. So yeah, that was like my first organization that I joined.
Okay. I like that. So definitely shout out to Martha. We message every now and then because Martha was actually she was the VP of program when I was there. So we definitely did a lot of work, a lot of planning, to get things off. So yeah, definitely shout out to Martha because the one thing I say, she definitely had a lot of energy and she was passionate about programming. Like, I'm not gonna lie. So definitely shout out to Martha. Glad to just been able to work with her. Like, some people you be like, I ain't gotta work with you again. Definitely when man working with Martha again. But like with me, I ain't gonna lie. Like, I kind of jumped like full face in, if that makes sense. But like, I can't say it was like one thing I joined. I joined like 100 things at once. Like, no lie. Like, I went from like I literally joined RHA, BMI. Well, but let me rephrase that because I'm using acronyms and that's really we get into bad habits of that with higher ed. But I literally joined Black Male Initiative, the Residence Hall Association, the Black Student Union, the Campus Activities Board, all at once. Like, all of this stuff probably happened with like in a week. I think the only thing I didn't know about was like the Campus Activities Board, and it was this girl on my floor was like, oh yeah, you should be on the Campus Activities Board, and I was on the Concerts and Comedy Committee. That's what it was back then. I know it didn't change.
Yeah, they changed the name.
And and she was like, yeah, we do all this. And I remember freshman year just being like the plug because like, we brought Big Sean, we brought Lit Duval, and we brought Travis Porter like within a year. And I just remember being like the plug. I know now they do all the ticket sales online, but back when I started at NIU, you just had to wait in line.
Me too.
And so I was always like plugged in where like I never had to wait in line for like tickets. Like, my ticket was always set to the side and be like, hey, come get your ticket, you been coming. And shout out to TQ because I ain't gonna lie, TQ was she was over our committee, and TQ like she steered us in the right direction and she looked out for me. Like, I remember when I started my second year, my cousin got murdered, so I was like back and forth, between the city, and I kind of wasn't in the right headspace. And like, I remember I shouldn't have had a ticket, but TQ was like, James, it's you did a lot of work for us last year. Why would I not give you a ticket? I'm like, hey, shout out to you. So yeah, shout out to TQ. Like, I ain't gonna lie though, I definitely rock with her. What would you say are the benefits of being involved on campus?
Networking. I think that's one of the greatest benefits of being on campus. Me being a higher education professional, I think the benefit is having an impact on other students. And sometimes, especially as underrepresented students in higher education, once if they see someone that looks like them, have identify with them, it can help them strive to be better. Like I cannot tell you how many people, even my own friends, like I look up to you for what you've done.
Mm-hmm.
You've always been a resource to me, and that just warms my heart.
Yeah.
Funny story. So like in like 2015, I wrote a status on Facebook. It popped up on my memories not too long ago, and I'm like, if I can, with my campus involvement, if I can like impact one person positively, I feel like I did my job. So, me being a part of all different kind of organizations and things like that, it definitely helped me use my leadership and use my platform to help other people that looks like me, and as attending a PWI, predominantly white institution, it is hard for underrepresented students to excel. Like it really is. So that was very rewarding to me. Another thing about being involved, it just I don't know, like it just helps you be more familiar with the campus. You like networking again, you get to meet so many wonderful people. Like I know SILD, like Jill and all of them. Like it was just really cool. Dang. Like to really just know them, they know you by name. Tashina, shout out to Tashina.
Tashina, yeah, she was cool.
Yeah, just so many amazing people. Like I can honestly say, I'm not talking because I graduated from NIU, but NIU we do have some really good people in higher education. From the resident staff to SILD to orientation, we really have some really good leaders. We have some good advice. We have some good people in those departments. And they have a very positive impact on us. I think the campus involvement, like, it was all, I remember I did a grad school, I did a paper, like, I feel like involvement helps you become more, it helps you excel better in college.
Facts.
Does. Like,
that's what the student involvement theory is about. Like,
yep.
I wrote about that so much, where, like, I remember when I was going to grad school, like, and we from like the same hood. Like, we might as well call it what it is.
Right.
We from like the same hood where, like, you don't see nobody. Like, I saw so few black males going to college, and then to think like, oh, you're not only gonna go get a bachelor's, you finna go to grad school. When nobody from the hood getting getting a master's degree. And so like, I remember going, like, yes, I was going. I'm like, man, I'm in grad school, and like my family, like, oh yeah, but I didn't know what I was doing. And when people was telling me stuff, like, I remember they're like, man, you got to find a theory and just run with it. And I remember just looking, and I was like, the student involvement theory, and it just summed up my college experience because, I feel like being involved kind of made you a better student, at least in my case. Like, it made me a better student because, I was, I had my time management down pat. I was doing my assignments before I was, like, trying to kick it, or, like, I knew, like, oh, CAB having this event this weekend.
Yeah, let me do my papers.
Let me do the paper, right? Let me do this paper. Let me do that project. And so, I feel like it helped make me a better student, like, say, in the long run. But some other things with just being involved, I think, are important. Like, benefits is like just kind of like new opportunities and new doors. Like, I ain't gonna lie, it was times, some people who might have been like the president of an org or somebody else, they thought they was entitled to some stuff versus like me, I was just involved and administration knew me, different people, so like I would get invited to like sit on search committees or go to conferences and stuff. So I think like just more opportunities would be one of the benefits of being involved. We kind of, well, I kind of just touched on it. So, and you kind of said it, but I'll just ask it anyway. Do you believe being involved made you a better student? If so, how?
Yes. I just think it was very motivation, and I just feel like, I don't know, even like, okay, so like being a member of Zeta, right? We had study tables, like, and we actually have like a chapter GPA, so like,
right.
That made me strive to definitely, like, if I get bad grades, it's not going to just impact me, it's going to impact my organization as well.
Right.
I just think being involved, it was like one of the best things. I feel like I got the best out of my college experience by being involved. Just for my freshman year, I went to class, came to my dorm room, I stayed in Lincoln, that was it. But then once I started getting involved, it started getting out there, oh, this organization is doing study tables, or like before I data. Oh, the data's doing an academic lockdown, and all those things are kind of helping me excel, and helping me be better as a student. And like I said again, just the network of opportunities that I have gained from being involved on campus is just priceless. And I know like going to college is definitely based on academics. You want to strive to get good grades, but like college teaches you so many life skills that you're going to use till you die.
Right.
Like literally discipline, time management, communication skills, public speaking skills. You learn so much. Like you learn so much in college, and I do think campus involvement definitely helped me enhance on all of those skills.
Okay, dang, you just throwing haymakers, like like, and I feel you though, like, for anybody that's been following the podcast, like I was talking about when I was on AP and just how like being around like my BMI bros, so Black Male Initiative bros, how like they challenged me to be a better student, and I became a better student. Like I learned how to do all the stuff I probably should have been known, and I became serious about studying. So I always just tell anybody that. And then being in like most leadership positions in college, you have to have a certain GPA, and that's the one thing like people don't talk about. And like I've seen, and I've been in a situation where they took a leadership position from me because I didn't have the GPA, and that's the one thing like nobody talks about. So I'm gonna talk about it. Like I had a position snatched from me that I won, in an election, because I ain't had a grade, and and it was just kind of like, hey, it was close, but it, close don't cut it. I ain't had a GPA,
right.
I had to resign from the position, and but it does help. I think it helps make you, like I said, a better student, like for sure. So from being involved, what type of opportunities were given to you?
I would say I've received like leadership awards, like the Brothers Organization. I won an Academic Achievement Award. I was nominated for a lot of scholarship-based awards. Miss Black President. So, like I said, I received a lot of like leadership roles. I got my upper bound job because of my involvement. If I would have never, been a part of Zeta, that helped me because I knew who the director was. Internships, just different kind of incentives, different kind of like jobs and things on campus, and like just. I know one thing that was very cool. So Morgan, she was a part of Greek Life for SIL.
I remember Morgan.
Yeah, I love Morgan.
Yeah,
she emailed me, and she emailed people personally, and she asked me to be a part of a video that's on YouTube. You guys should check it out. It's called "You Are Always Wearing Your Letters." So she picked leaders that she handpicked us that she felt was suitable for the video, and that was a really cool opportunity. Like she knew who I was. I used to show up to the meetings and things like that. So being involved in definitely opens up opportunities. Like, yeah, it's just a little video, but it's cool. Like, that's our Greek Life video that's on YouTube that hundreds of students have watched, So I think that's pretty cool to be a part of stuff like that. When you're involved, I've been asked to speak on panels and things like that. That's very meaningful to me. If I have the opportunity to sit on this panel, someone reached out to me thinking that I have what it takes to help and talk about my experiences as a college student, like that's very amazing. But people don't know who you are, they're not going to be able to give you those type of opportunities. And a lot of people with panels and things, I know I used to get emails and stuff sometimes. Like a lot of students will want to follow up with me or ask me, "I'm going to get your email." They'll call me, text me. I'll be like, I'm open. Like you and I be one-on-one. I met a lot of my mentors, being involved, being a peer mentor. Passion Williams, we built a really tight relationship. Shout out to Passion. So just being involved, I don't know, it just helped me. It just helped me so much. Like I don't regret it at all. I've joined every organization that I wanted to be a part of. It's not one org that I didn't want to be a part of that I didn't join.
Right.
It was just an amazing experience. Shout out to NIU, man. Like the journey is over, but shout out to NIU.
I'm not gonna say you kind of. I ain't got nothing to follow up with that. Like I think that was perfect. Like yeah, because like I think like the one thing from being involved that we never talk about is just the relationship building, where that's the important. You don't see the vision, but people see the vision for you. And I remember like I did hall council as a freshman. Hall director his name was Marty, so he was a black man, and he seen me as this higher ed professional. When I seen him like 2 years ago, he was at my job because he he does work with like OrgSync, and he's like, yeah, I'm coming to your campus today, and he seen me. He's like, James, I'm so proud of you. He said, I ain't gonna lie. He said, I remember, you had that hump you had to get over. He said, but once you got over that hump, you just ran with it, and I did. But he saw me as this higher ed professional, doing some of the same work he was doing, and I didn't even know what I was getting myself into. Like, I ain't gonna lie. So I'll just say that, like, I think, I just think like the people that you meet, like the advisors, like, your organizational advisors or your academic advisor, like them people there for life. And like, man, I'm glad to just like, have, people's numbers where like I can hit them up, or like I can just show up to their office and they like, oh, what's up? Like, they excited, like, hey, James, what's going on? Like, and I always tell a story, like, and it's funny how, like, this is like a random one. So, like, I met Eric Armstrong when I was in grad school. And so Eric is the director for military and post-traditional student services. And I remember I met him, and it was like his first day on campus. I'm at an event because I used to do everything. Like, I used to be involved, but also too, you come to the right event, you might find me on the grill. And I remember I know. And I remember he had walked up and he was like, "Oh, this what we on?" He's like, "Can I get on the grill?" I'm like, "Yeah." Man, he went to his office, came back with an apron and everything, and we like, I can't make this up. But from like this one interaction, like literally, like I got his number. We check in with each other when I'm on campus. Like, I go see him, and and he just like he like another, like, say, another mentor, big brother type figure. But that was like, say, I want to say a weird way to meet, but we just met from a program. It was a whole program. I so happy he was on the grill. He wanted to get on the grill, and that just started like a whole, kind of relationship between us where, we cool, we tight. Moving forward, when you was a student, how did you find a good academic balance while being involved? Because I think this is important because, like, maybe, and I feel like you're going to agree with me, so I'm going to put this statement out there first. I feel like, and I've been told by a lot of students afterwards, because people like, James, how did you do it? How did you this? How did you do that? I said, well, I didn't get 8 hours of sleep every night. Like, I would just be on 100. But I feel like, a lot of people that was like in my generation that came before me, we did a lot of stuff, and like now you have a lot of students who are involved and they just want the title and they're not doing the work, and so, or they got bad grades. That's the other thing I noticed too. So what did you do to have a good academic balance while being involved? Like, what was kind of like your routine?
Literally, I called it binge homework. So I always knew, but when I turned 21, Thursdays and Fridays was always busted on Thursdays, and then we had a lot of events on Thursdays and weekends or whatever. So what I would do, I would literally sit in the library Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, do all my homework, get it out the way. Sometimes maybe Thursday I might have to slide in the library, but by Thursday night, all my homework was done. That was literally my strategy. As far as like studying, I did study. I'm not gonna lie and say I didn't, but a lot of stuff was interesting to me. I could retain the information, so I didn't like. I honestly didn't do all night. Stats 208 is the only class I did all night for. I never used to do that because my mind, after a certain time, like, it just doesn't function. I never really did homework on the weekends either. Don't like it. So I literally would pick those 3 to 4 days out the week. So Monday through Wednesday or Monday through Thursday, just literally do all my homework. I never could do homework from home. I always went to the library on the 3rd floor of the computer lab. And I would just use the computers that were in there, have all my books with me, have my headphones in. And that's what worked for me. I was never the type to be able to go home to a paper. That would never work out.
Mm-hmm.
I would never. And it's just, you just gotta time management. You gotta stay focused. And you know what? It's really no excuses. Like NIU, you know about events like homecoming and things like that. Like, when those events are gonna be. Just make sure you have your homework done. Because I personally can't enjoy myself if I know I got a whole 10-page paper due on Monday morning and it's Saturday and I'm out kicking it. Like, that's just my tactic. I would be like, I got to do homework on tomorrow. I don't feel like it. So it's just about time management, like most events, like I said, they're planned ahead. The
Facts.
flyers are posted, weeks in advance. So you want to go to homecoming. We all go to homecoming. Make sure you have your homework done that Wednesday or Thursday for homecoming, so you can be able to attend our events. You won't have to think twice about it. Anybody who know me know I love to go out. I was out every weekend and I knew that at the same time I was able to maintain good grades. And it literally was just being in the library. Like I just picked my 3 days, that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, stayed in there sometimes for 6 hours, sometimes for 4. It just depended on what I had done, and then like that just worked out for me.
Okay. So I always tell people this. So I lived on campus for 3 years. And so when I say this is important information to know. By me living on campus for 3 years, especially that year 3, I lived right across from the library. So I was in the library probably like 6 or 7 days a week. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like no cap. Like, people, it's like, cause I get bored. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna go to the library. Regardless of like what year it was, like every Sunday I was in the library because like I tend to have Senate meetings Sunday night at 6. So I would go to the library, and the library opened at 1. I was there at 1 to like 5:30 working on stuff. And then I go to my Senate meeting. But also shout out to the Center for Black Studies. Like, I worked there. Mr. Smith used to really challenge me, because like, I ain't gonna lie, we all get in our moments where like we be procrastinating. So I'm one of those people where like, the weekends I really don't do work. So my stuff gotta get done during the week. Unless it's Sunday, But I remember Mr. Smith used to be like, J-Rock, he like, man, I know you got this paper. You might as well stay here till you finish it. And literally, I used to be in the Center for Black Studies till like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning working. Like, and that was good because, the library was closing at midnight. So I'm getting two, 3 more. Yeah, I'm getting 2, 3 more, extra hours. And then, worst case scenario, like, if Mr. Smith's still there, Mr. Smith gonna give me a ride to the crib. Or if not, we had late night, so I would just go hop on that and go to the crib. But just grateful to have that, where like I was just kind of able to adapt and make stuff happen and realize we're like, hey, I need to stay in the Center for Black Studies all night. So there's no right answer to this question. What do you think is the right amount of involvement?
This is hard. For me, I would maybe say 2, and why I say 2 is maybe join like a fun, like all organizations are fun, but like, okay, maybe you want to do a community service organization, and you want to do a dance team, or you want to do a sisterhood organization, and you want to be a Northern ambassador. Like, just try to join organizations where you can gain like different types of skills. Like, and one thing I do like about NIU in particular, I'm an advocate. I think it's an organization for everybody. Like, no matter if it's community service, it's an academic base, it's Greek life, it's a dance team. Like, we have so many different organizations that we're able to be a part of. So I really like that. But it's hard. You can't say a set number because, in my opinion, because everybody different, and so everybody, can't balance having multiple organizations and then still being a student. Students still have to work and provide for themselves. Like, some students have children as well. So, it's very hard to really set a number. But I would say maybe 2,
Yeah. I agree. Like, I think 2 is perfect. And like I kind of agree, with some of that what you was just saying, with like everybody's situation is different, and we're like, I would never tell nobody to do what I did. Like, I was like, I was out here, like, and that's what people like. One of my friends used to say, like, she used to joke and be like, James, you might in the meetings, right? Because every time we talk, she's like, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to the meetings. She's like, you always going to meetings, but like I said, they just help me keep a routine. Where like, all right, I got BMI this day, I got CAB this day, I got this day, and where, I was able to make it work. But I think, that is the right amount of involvement is for, like I said, that person to determine, because like, your job make you be involved, where like, I was doing programs, going to events and stuff, for my job at the Center for Black Studies, and, as a Northern ambassador, you giving tours, participating in open houses, admitted student days, student panels and stuff. And so it's a lot of involvement, like say, to take care and take in. But, I do think the only thing I will say, and I ain't gonna even say this as a disclaimer, this is like GQ 100, where like, you shouldn't be doing anything if you don't have the time for it.
Okay.
You taking away an opportunity from somebody else, and I don't know. Like I feel like people were worried about people throwing dirt on their name, because like I feel like when you get some of these student orgs, and I've seen it happen where like people be afraid to take action, against their friends, and I ain't gonna lie, I'm the person. If we vote to impeach you, I'm voting to impeach you because you wasn't here. Like,
Yeah.
and that's just quite frankly because sometimes like we could still be cool, but you didn't do what was right by the organization,
Right.
and we can't let any biases get in the way of that. And I feel like some people do; they let their biases, get the best of them, and they don't want to, vote against their friends. But you got to. That's the only way you're really doing justice to that organization.
That's true.
I answered this one, but I don't know. I'm gonna ask it again. So because this is like the last question. So I'm like, did I ask this? I don't know. What skills do you believe you learned from being involved?
I don't think you asked that song. Oh, you maybe did. I don't know, but I said it. Time management.
Okay.
Time management is the number one skill. You have a class. You have multiple meetings. You have this. You have that. You have to work. Time management is key. Public speaking skills, definitely through leadership positions. Like I know you was talking about panels and stuff like that. When you become leaders, you may be asked to speak on a panel.
Right.
You may be the only one that's available for this green card panel for your organization. So someone has to represent. So you have to kind of face your fears sometimes. Public speaking,
Right.
communication skills, via email, things like that. Communicating with like committee members, communicating with other organizations, learning how to email correctly,
Yeah.
knowing how to be like efficient with emailing, and things like that. Those are like the key components for me, but like big emphasis on the time management because
Right.
that's really the key being a college student. You manage so many other things. It's hard being a college student because one thing is the time management aspect of it. Like people have it used to be times I'll have 3-4 meetings a day, still have to go to work and still have to go to class.
Right.
Like, it's crazy.
Right.
So yeah, those are like my top skills that I feel like I learned through my student involvement.
So for me, I think, and this is gonna sound weird, I feel like I learned how to juggle and balance a bunch of stuff. So like as a professional, when you start doing stuff outside of your job, like I remember my first job out of grad school, I was working for a trio program, and I remember like I had my regular job, and then they'd be like other stuff like, oh, we should do this. And they'd be like, you sure you can do that? I'd be like, yeah, I can do that. They'd be like, but what about your work? It's going to get done. Like, don't worry about it. Like, I got this, And I think, like, some people be surprised. And I think the other funny, useful skill that I learned that, like, has, like, rolled over into, like, my professional career is, like, I was a treasurer for, like, 50 million organizations in college. Like, that's, like, an understatement. So, like, maybe, like, 4 or 5 different organizations, like, I was the treasurer. So I kept track of the books. And like I've been a treasurer of like a nonprofit org like now, and it's funny because like when you sit in meetings with like your supervisors or admin and just how you think about stuff, and they're like, oh, we didn't think about that. Oh, we're probably missing some money because like I remember I was a grad student and they signed up for the involvement fair for a table and they didn't have our table, and so. We was at the staff meeting. I was like, did y'all ever get our money back from them? And they was like, oh, we didn't think about that. I said, go get our money back because they ain't have our table, so that means we don't have to pay them. So but I think that was like the fun, like I said, useful skill. And I feel like I had it before, but like networking, like being involved helped give you like so many talking points with just people where it just helps break the ice and give you, like I said, some great conversation and making connections. That was the last question I had. Did you have anything else you wanted to say to the people about involvement before we wrap it up?
I have one more thing to say that I thought about. So another thing about being involved on campus and networking, I forgot to mention recommendation letters. Like,
okay, that's true.
That's very important, especially for grad school internships. If no one knows you on campus, your professors, it's okay. But let's be real, a lot of those professors, we're in big lecture classes. A lot of our professors we really don't have that like one-on-one relationship with them. So being involved, it was nothing for me to go to the Center for Black Studies, Dr. Guyan, can you write me a recommendation for grad school?
Right.
Things like that. So that's another big plus about being involved in on campus and networking with professionals on the campus. Recommendation letters. That's the key.
That's funny. That's funny. I ain't gonna say you took my point, but I just talked about that on the episode of the podcast about China, where I was talking about Angelica from the Latino Research Center. She was one of my study abroad instructors, and like literally, she's been a reference for me for like both of my jobs I've had since I graduated from grad school. Like, no lie. Like, and she had texted me like, "Hey, I just talked to this school. They gonna make you an offer." Okay, cool, bet. But that is important. Like, when you're involved, you just have those relationships where people know your work ethic, and they want to see the best for you. And so, like, just join something, like I said, because I think the worst thing some people do is not be involved, and we're like, you don't have some of those same experiences or those same resources where you could just go to Mr. Smith and Dr. Guyan. Like, Dr. Guyan was my boss at the Center for Black Studies. Shout out to Dr. G, because I remember when I got into the higher ed program, like, she was preparing me from jump, like, hey, go read this article, go read this, go over your pronouns, because this is going to be real in grad school. I'm like, huh? Okay, but she definitely, like, was just GQ, with just, just getting me ready. So, and I'm grateful because she told me a lot of stuff that, like, I think of now where, like, I tell my students the same thing. I say, hey, Dr. G told me, don't go to grad school if they ain't paying for it. And I ain't gonna lie, that was my philosophy. Like, I had to have that graduate assistantship. Like, I ain't gonna lie. So, shout out to Dr. G, So, all in all, I think, like, with both us being at NIU, definitely some overlap. I know you was there a little bit longer, but we definitely had the opportunity to meet some of the same people and have some of the same experiences, and just have people be supportive of, like, the involvement journey, because people notice when you put in that work, like that real work, not that food stuff. Like, it's a lot of food. It's a lot of foodness, food leaders out there giving us bad names, but people remember the impact that we've had on campus. So,
and people actually put in work. You could be a part of an organization, and that don't mean you actually did anything for that organization. That's definitely a thing. People pay attention though to those people who take them initiatives and things like that. Like, that's definitely what I know.
So I always gave people this analogy, and I promise after this we can wrap up. So like. You're a part of a Greek org. I'm a part of a Greek org. And so the one thing I always tell people, because people be like, I said, hey, yes, I was in my, my fraternity, and Mosh was going hard, like, like on a programming tip. And I was like, in the frat, you only got a handful of people, in which, that's true, versus when I was in, like, BMI, we had, like, 60, 70 dudes. Now, for granted, all 60, 70 dudes weren't doing work. But we had 60, 70 guys that would come to every meeting. And so I tell people, I'm like, I wish I had that many people, in the frat, because it could have took a load, it could have took a load off. And you probably get what I'm saying with that. Where, like, you definitely don't have the luxury when you join the Greek org of having the bodies, because, that's just how it is, but not saying everybody in those orgs doing work, but the numbers look cute, but we get people out the programs, like, packed programs, just off the strength, because people knew, like, oh, this person, putting in work, or this org putting in work, we going to go support, we going to go do this, we going to go do that. So that's the last thing I'm going to say. Shakira, thanks for joining me, on the podcast, I appreciate it. I hope the people like this, and I hope, the students listen to this can, take a message from it, but I recommend everybody being involved, because it's just going to give you more to put on your resume. Even if you never had a job during college, being involved going to get you that experience that you need. So, don't just think, because, I'm just going to go to class. No, get involved. You're going to have some experience when you have that first job. So, I'm going to catch y'all next time on the 79th Street podcast.